Working harder is making you poorer, literally. If you worked overtime this past weekend, congratulations, you just gave the government a massive discount on your life and stepped right into a trap. But we do it anyway. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. Why? Because they told you a story. They told you the day you first put on a school uniform. They told it to you on the first day of your first job. The story goes like this. If you want to build a life, you have to outwork the man next to you. Sleep when you're dead. That is the culture. That is the game. But I've been looking at the numbers, and I think the game is rigged. Whether you are drilling rock in Rustenburg, stitching wounds in a public hospital at Steve Biko Academic Hospital, or mixing beats in a studio somewhere on the Cape Flats, the rule is the same. You think you are trading your time for money. You are not. You are trading your life away for a currency that loses value. Every single hour you work past your standard 8-hour workday. Today, we are going to decode exactly why that happens. We are going to calculate what I call the Monday tax. We are going to expose the wolf hiding inside your payslip. And we are going to talk about a medical term that your doctor probably never mentioned. Allostatic load. The debt collector that SARS doesn't warn you about. If you are new here, welcome. I'm Vuyo. This is Vuyo Invests. This channel exists to decode the financial system that was never taught to you in school. Let's get into it. Let's start with the money. Because numbers don't have feelings. Most of us look at our payslip and we see one thing, the bottom line, the net pay. But you need to understand the structure underneath that number. You see, South Africa uses what SARS calls a progressive tax system. PAYE, pay as you earn. It sounds technical, I know, but the principle is very simple. The harder and longer you work, and the more you earn, the more they punish and take from you. Think of your income in two buckets. Bucket 1 is your base salary. This is the money you earn during your standard working hours. It sits in what I call the green zone. It's protected. It benefits from the tax-free threshold. It gets your rebates. Bucket 2, that is your overtime. And overtime does not live in the green zone. Your overtime earnings live on the margin. Overtime lives in the red zone. Overtime lives with the wolf. Here is the rule you need to understand. Your base salary starts at the bottom of the tax table. It climbs through the lower brackets first. By the time you get to overtime, you are already at the top. So every rand of overtime you earn gets taxed at your highest possible rate. That is what we call the marginal tax rate. The wolf only eats from the top of the pile, and overtime is always at the top of the pile. Let me show you exactly what this looks like in real money. Let's take a person earning 45,000 rands a month. Let's call him Vusi. 45,000 rands is a decent salary, and a lot of South Africans in both the public and private sector earn their living in this salary range. On a Tuesday morning, when Vusi walks into his workplace, his net hourly rate after standard tax is approximately 265 rands per hour. 265 rands. Now, Vusi agrees to work a Saturday shift because he's told operational requirements or targets need to be met, or whatever organizations term overtime. In his mind, Vusi thinks, great, I'm going to earn some extra cash. But here is what actually happens. That Saturday money lands on top of the base salary, which means it gets taxed at the marginal rate, which, at that income level, is 36%. Before you even add standard deductions like UIF. Keep in mind, Vusi needs to get to work on that Saturday. Think of additional costs such as petrol, taxi fare, parking, maybe even a cup of coffee to get the day going. When you run the full calculation, Vusi's Saturday hourly rate actually drops to approximately 118 rands per hour. You heard me correctly. Think about it. Vusi left his family on a Saturday morning. He missed the rugby game. He had to sit in traffic, or he had to squeeze into a crowded taxi, and he did all of that for 44% of what he would earn on a standard Tuesday. And that is the overtime trap. Working harder, getting paid less. The system is not broken. It is working exactly as designed, but we're just unaware. We're conditioned to accept things as they are, without questioning the system we're living in. So if the numbers are this clear, why do we keep doing it? Why does Vusi work all weekend and then spend 3,000 rands on a pair of sneakers? It is not because Vusi is bad with money. It is because of a glitch, a very specific glitch in the human brain. Behavioral economists call it mental accounting. It was first described by Richard Thaler in 1985. He later won a Nobel Prize for it. Here is how it works. Vusi's brain has two accounts. Account A is his base salary. That is serious money. Survival money, that's for rent, electricity, food, data, his basic needs to live. Vusi does not mess with account A. Account B is his overtime pay. Well, his brain labels it differently. It calls it windfall money, free money, bonus money. So when Vusi spends 3,000 rands on those sneakers, it doesn't register as pain to him. He thinks, I earned this with my hard work and sweat. I deserve this reward. But what he didn't calculate is the actual cost. He sold his Saturday at a 55% discount to buy a liability. That is the windfall effect. Painless spending, hidden poverty. But here's the thing. The money is actually the least of your problems. There's a second tax and SARS does not track it. Your payslip does not show it. But your body keeps the exact score. The World Health Organization, in a study published alongside Environment International, found that working more than 55 hours a week increases your risk of a stroke by 33%. 33%. That is not a lifestyle opinion. That is not a motivational poster. That is a medical finding. And it gets worse. Doctors have a name for what is happening inside your body when you chronically overwork. It is called allostatic load. In plain English, biological inflation. Here is the mechanism. Every time you push past your limit, your body releases a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is your body's turbo boost. It sharpens your focus. It keeps you alert. It pushes you through the hard hours. Great for short bursts, terrible for long periods of time. Because here is what happens when cortisol runs continuously. It eats away at your muscle mass. It stores fat around your belly. It makes your body resistant to insulin. We are not talking about feeling tired. We are talking about insulin resistance. We are talking about pre-diabetes. The body keeps the score, and it always collects the debt. This is the long game. Each year of chronic overtime, your biological age runs ahead of your chronological age. At 30 years old, working excessive overtime, your body may already be functioning like someone in their mid-30s. By 45, the gap has widened into a chasm. You are not just tired, you are accumulating structural damage. Think of it like financial debt. It is invisible until it compounds and it collapses. Your cardiovascular system is like an engine. Cortisol is the turbo boost. Insulin resistance is the system overheating. Arterial hardening is the structural fatigue. Run that engine on turbo, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it blows. And then there's the recovery deficit. The science is very clear on this. The human body needs a minimum of 48 hours to fully reset its stress systems. You need that weekend, not just to relax, but to biologically repair and reboot. When you work Saturday and Sunday, you start Monday morning at 50% charge. And this is where it gets really painful. Your employer loves it when you work on a Saturday, but he gets a broken version of you on Monday. Research shows that working consecutive weekends drops your cognitive speed and decision-making performance the following week. So here is what you are actually doing. You are selling your Saturday to your boss, only to underperform for him on Monday. You are borrowing energy from next week. At 50% interest, the body always collects. So what is the answer? Do we stop working overtime entirely? Do we refuse to hustle? No, that is not how we survive in this economy. The answer is not to stop working. The answer is to be strategic with your time, earnings, and effort. Let me introduce you to a friend of Vusi, Tumelo. He also earns the same salary. Both have access to overtime. Both have goals. The difference is the strategy. Vusi is the grinder, the hard worker. Vusi works overtime every week. He doesn't have a clear target. The money comes in, and it flows straight out. Sneakers, nights out, subscriptions he forgot he had. His brain has labeled that overtime as free money, and he spends it like it costs nothing, because to him, it feels like it costs nothing. But the biological debt is compounding. His cortisol is chronically elevated. His weekends are gone. His Monday performance is declining. Vusi is not building wealth. Vusi is renting poverty at a premium price. Tumelo, on the other hand, is the sniper. Tumelo also works overtime, but Tumelo does not work overtime blindly. Tumelo has a protocol. Step 1. Define the target. Tumelo does not say, I want more money. He says, I need 20,000 rands to renovate my parents' house. The target is capital, not consumption. It is an asset, not a liability. Step 2. Check the SARS table. Tumelo looks at the SARS monthly deduction tables. He calculates exactly how much gross overtime he needs to earn to net 20,000 rands after the wolf takes his cut. He knows the real price he'll pay before he agrees to work his overtime hours. Step 3. Execute the campaign. Tumelo works the overtime, consciously, deliberately. For 2 months, maybe 3 months maximum, he hits the target. And then, step 4, the reset. He stops, he reclaims his weekends. He sits on the veranda on a Sunday morning. He lets his biological battery charge back to 100%. Because Tumelo knows something Vusi has not yet figured out. His greatest asset is not the overtime money. His greatest asset is his ability to perform at his main job at full capacity for the foreseeable future. Tumelo uses his body and mind to buy some semblance of freedom. Vusi uses his body and mind to buy sneakers and a nice time. That is the difference. We need to rewrite the rules. Stop letting mental accounting trick you into thinking overtime is free money. Stop letting the system burn out your biological engine for a discount price. Here is the rule. Don't use your body and mind to pay for a lifestyle your base salary can't afford. If you are working hard just to keep the lights on, you may not be in need of more overtime. You actually need to fix your base budget first. Respect the recovery process of your body and mind. And please don't let the SARS wolf eat away at your future, mindlessly unaware of the consequences of your hard work, time, and effort. Finally, always remember to do your own research about topics such as taxes and medical advice. Consult actual practitioners who are registered professionals for qualified advice. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I'm Vuyo. This is Vuyo Invests. Thanks for watching. Shup shup.